Okay, so we've got a little bit more of a stretchy one today, but it's all going to be on the floor. So a little bit more moving than normal, but still a very gentle, relaxing class. So we'll just start having a moment to check in with ourselves. So find a comfortable seat, whatever that is for you, whether it's legs out in front of you or on your knees or cross-legged. Bring your hands into your lap, or if you want to connect more closely with the breath, one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart. And then just gently close your eyes. And just take a couple of moments just to notice your breath and the character of it today. The length of the inhales and the length of the exhales. Whether they're evenly matched or whether one is longer than the other. Notice if you're breathing through your nose or your mouth, or maybe a mixture of the two. Noticing where the breath moves your body. Maybe just in your chest, or maybe in your shoulders and your ribs and your belly too. Or maybe somewhere in between. Then take a moment to notice how you feel in your body today. Noticing the natural curves of your spine, and whether you're sat up tall or whether you're slouching a little. Notice any tensions and tight spots, maybe in the shoulders or the neck, maybe elsewhere in the body. Just making a mental note of where you're at today. Then gently fluttering the eyes open, relax the hands down to the lap, and we'll start with some block breath. So inhaling the arms up in front of you for the count of 4. Holding the breath in at the top for the count of 4. Exhaling the breath out to the sides for a count of 4. And then holding the breath outside the body for a count of 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In. Hold. Out. Hold. In. Hold. Out. Hold. In. Hold. Out. Hold. In. Hold. Out. In, hold, out, hold. Last one, in, hold, out, hold. Excellent, then just let the breath come back to normal. Take the left ear towards the left shoulder and just hang out there for a moment. Maybe taking the right arm away from you and stretching out through the fingertips to really stretch down the side of the neck. And bringing the hand back to the lap if you extended it. Roll the head all the way around the front to the other side and extend the other arm out, really stretching the fingertips away. Feeling that stretch down the whole side of the neck. And bringing the hand back to the lap. Roll the head all the way around the front again, moving to the other side. And this time raise up the left arm and hold over the top of the head, just gently stretching into the side of the neck. And then if you want to, take the other arm out too. Really lengthening down the side of the neck. And bringing the hands back to the lap. Roll the head all the way around the front to the other side. Take the right arm up and over, gently stretching out that side of the neck. And then if you want to, take the opposite fingers away. And then release the hands, roll the head around to the front. Interlace the fingers and place them around the back of the skull. Place your chin as close to your throat as you can down on your chest. And then press your head up into your hands as you resist that movement with your hands. And then releasing the hands, take them around behind your back. Interlace the fingers and stretch the arms away from you, really opening the chest. And then take the chin up towards the ceiling until you feel a stretch down the front of the throat, keeping the back of the neck as long as you can. And then bring the head back up to center, release the fingers, and make your way around into a tabletop position. So knees underneath the hips, hands underneath the shoulders, but any restriction in the wrists, then you can always bring the hands further forward of the shoulders or place them on a block, whatever's more comfortable. Then moving with the breath, as we inhale, drop the belly down towards the mat, drop the chest down towards the mat, press the ground away, looking up, really scooping up that back. Then as we exhale, tuck the tailbone under, round through the spine, press the ground away with the hands and drop the head. So inhale as we come down, really scooping up that back, stretching open the collarbones, looking up towards the ceiling. Then as we exhale, nice and slowly, take the spine in the opposite direction, pulling the belly button in towards the spine, dropping the head. Inhale as we come down. And then exhaling as you go up. 3 more here, moving with your own breath, nice and slowly. And once you've done your 3, come back to a neutral spine. Taking the hands forward, come down onto the elbows and melt the chest down towards the floor, keeping the hips above the knees. If it's in your practice and you can go deeper, bring the forehead to the floor, maybe wiggling those fingers further forward. And if it's in your practice and you can get your chest all the way to the floor, then come onto the chin. And then just to have some restorative breaths in this pose, really sinking that heart towards the floor, melting your heart down towards your mat. And lifting the head and pressing through the hands, bring the hands back closer towards the body and take the hips towards the heels, coming into child's pose. Knees can be together or apart, whatever is more comfortable on your hips. Then bring the forehead down to the mat. Either keep your hands out in front of you, or if you'd rather come into embryo pose and bring your hands around towards your feet and completely relax the shoulders, and feel free to do that too. And have 3 really deep breaths in this pose. And once you've done your 3, stand back up on your knees, coming back up into tabletop. From here, take a nice big inhale at center, and then exhale, look around towards one hip, making a C shape with your spine. Inhale back through center, then exhale, make a C shape on the other side. Inhale through center, look around towards one hip. Inhale through center, exhale, look around towards the other hip. Inhale through center, exhale one way. Inhale through center, exhale the other way. Do 3 more each side, moving with your unique breath. And just take a moment to notice whether one side is freer than the other. Whether you can see more of the hip one side than you can the other. And when you've done both sides equally, come back to a neutral spine. Inhale, take the right arm up towards the ceiling. And then as you exhale, thread it through underneath the opposite armpit and come down onto your shoulder and the side of the head. So into a gentle twist, keeping the hips high. You can either keep your left hand in front of your face, or you can stretch it up above your head towards the top of your mat to get a stretch through into the armpit. Or if you want to open up more through the shoulder, take the hand up towards the ceiling and then drop it down behind your back, reaching around for the right thigh, really opening that shoulder towards the ceiling. Then take 3 really deep breaths here, whichever one you've chosen. And bring your hand back into front of your face and push yourself back up to tabletop. And then the same on the other side. So inhale, lift the left arm up as high as you can. And then exhale, thread it through underneath the right armpit, coming down onto your shoulder and the side of your head. Then either walk the fingers of your right hand up towards the top of your yoga mat to stretch into the armpit, or reach the arm up to the ceiling and around the back, stretching to the left thigh, and then open the shoulder towards the ceiling. And then wherever you're at, take 3 deep breaths here. And once you've done your 3 breaths, bring the hand back in front of the face if it's not already, and push it back up to your tabletop position. Then from there, take the right leg out behind you, stretching it really long, and really ground down through the rest of the limbs that are still on the floor. And then take the left arm out in front of you, so opposite arm and leg. Just staying here, just balancing to start with, stretching out those toes, stretching out that hand, really lengthening through the body. Pulling the tummy muscles in, making sure the back's nice and neutral. Then place the hand back down, place the knee back down, and we'll do the other side. So take the left leg out behind you, really stretching it out, really engaging all the muscles of that leg. And then take the opposite arm, so the right arm out in front of you. Pull the tummy muscles in. Make sure the back's nice and neutral. Stretch from your fingertips all the way to your toes, making every muscle in your arm and your leg nice and tight, because a tight body is a light body. Pull the tummy muscles in again, make sure the spine's nice and neutral. Then place the hand down, place the knee down. Good. Take the right leg out behind you, cross it over the left and drop the toes down to the floor. Then look around towards those toes. And just have a few breaths here, really lengthening down the whole right side of the body. Then bringing the head back to centre, also bring the leg back up to centre and place the knee back down again. Then we'll do the other side. So take the left leg out behind you, cross it over and drop the toes down towards the floor. Then look around towards those toes, lengthening down the whole side of the left side of the body this time. Have a few breaths there. Excellent, bring the head back to centre, lift that back leg and bring the knee back to the mat. This time, take the right leg out behind you and then touch the toes down towards the mat. So they're directly behind the left toes. And then really grounding down through the knee, bring the right hand maybe to the middle of your mat, and then if you're feeling stable, maybe bring it to your hip. If you feel nice and controlled and stable there with your hip open, then maybe lift the back leg. So we're really trying to balance here. And then if you want to take it up one notch further, take the arm all the way up to the ceiling, or reach it all the way over above your head. So we're making ourselves really, really long, stretching through the whole right side of the body. Beautiful. Then touch the toes back down, bring the hand back down to the mat and level out the hips again. And then we'll do the other side. Turn around so I can see you. So on this side, take the left leg out behind you, really stretching it out long. Drop the toes to the mat behind the right toes. Taking the weight in the right knee and the right hand, and bring the left hand to the middle of the mat. Then if you can take it further, and bring it to the hip. Opening that hip up towards the ceiling, Really pressing down through the shin and the toes of the right foot. Maybe lift the left leg up off the mat. Maybe lift the arm up towards the ceiling. Maybe lift the arm all the way over your head and really lengthen through the body from your fingertips to your toes. Excellent, one more breath here. Then drop the toes down to the mat, bring the hand back to the mat and come back to your tabletop position. Excellent. Okay, you can either rest in child's pose here if you just want to have a little rest after that, bringing the hips to the heels and taking your head down towards the mat. Or if you just want to have a little back bend and stretch out the back, take the right leg behind you, bend at the knee and get the foot as close to your bum as you can. Really grounding down through the right hand, take your opposite hand around behind and try and catch hold of the toes. If that's available to you, then kick the leg up towards the ceiling and scoop out the back as much as you can. Take 3 breaths here. And then release that off, bring the hand and the knee to the mat. And then we'll do the other side. So take the left leg out, bend the knee, getting that foot as close to the bum as you can. Then take the opposite hand around, reaching for the toes. If you can make those toes, then kick the leg up towards the ceiling and scoop out through the back for 3 breaths this side. Then release the bind, stretch the arm and the leg out, bring them back to the mat. If you are in child's pose, then just come back up into tabletop to join us. Move the hands towards your right hand side of your mat and step the left foot to the outside of the hands. From here, keep the right hand down and lift the left arm up into a gentle twist. Float that left hand down to the outside edge of the front leg and then step your hands up onto the front knee. Take the hips back slightly, tuck the tailbone under to lengthen down the front of the leg and then inhale the arms up above the head, maybe making a Charlie's Angel gun. Reaching the fingers up as much as the bottom knee is pressing down into the mat. Couple of breaths here. Then bring the hands down to frame the front foot, scoop the hips back and stretch out down the front leg. Raising those toes of the front leg towards your nose, stretching out down the back of the hamstring. Maybe taking your chest towards your knee if you can, straightening and lengthening the back as much as you can. Couple of breaths here. Then ground down through that front foot again. Take the hips forward and move the hands to the inside of the leg. From here, you can either place your hand on the inside of the knee and wing that front leg out, or if you'd rather come into lizard, if that's in your practice and you want to bring one elbow or maybe both elbows to the ground, then come into lizard. If you're in lizard, come back up onto your hands. If you winged your knee out, bring the knee back to center, place both hands down and take that left leg back. Walk the hands over to the left side of the mat and step the right foot forwards. Keeping the left hand on the mat, open the right arm up towards the ceiling, coming into twist. Couple of breaths here. Then bring the hand down by the side of that front leg and walk the hands up onto the knee. Taking the hips back slightly, Tuck the tailbone under so we can lengthen down the front of the left leg. And then inhale the arms up above our heads. Maybe making a Chinese angel gun. Really stretching the fingertips up as we press down with the bottom knee. So really lengthening through the body. Then on your next exhale, float the hands down to frame the front foot, scoot the hips back, maybe wiggle that foot forward slightly, and stretch the toes up towards your nose. Lengthening out down the front leg. Maybe stretching the chest towards the knee. Couple of breaths here. Then ground down through that front foot, taking the hips forward, bringing both hands to the inside of that front leg, and then take your option this side, either pressing into the inside of the knee and winging that knee out, or if you'd rather do lizard, then bringing your elbow, maybe both elbows down towards the floor. And take a few breaths here. And placing your hands back on the mat if you're in lizard, winging that knee back in, take that leg back to the ground and take the hips back into child's pose. And just have 2 breaths in child's pose. Then lifting the head, walk the hands back towards your knees, coming up to seated. Fall over onto one hip and swing the legs around and come down onto your mat, onto your back. To start with, arms out by your sides and your feet as wide as your yoga mat. And just windscreen wipe the legs nice and slowly from one side to the other. Letting one knee drop into the centre and then windscreen wiping them over and letting the opposite knee drop into the centre. Letting your breath come and go as it pleases. Then stretch your legs out nice and long on your mat, coming into final Savasana. Tuck the shoulder blades underneath the body. Make sure the lower back is comfortable, and if there's any pain in the lower back, bring the feet to the mat and let the knees roll in towards one another. Palms can be face up or face down, or if you'd rather have your hands on your hips or just inside your hip bones, or one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly, then feel free to lay in whatever way feels comfortable for you today. And then let everything be really heavy on the mat. Your heels, your calves, your upper legs, your pelvis. Notice the length of your spine, the way your spine touches the mat, and whether there's space for light and air in between, through your lower back, your middle back, your upper back. Feel the shoulder blades heavy on the mat as the collarbones spread and relax. Arms are heavy, elbows heavy, hands heavy. Head is heavy as the back of your skull is completely supported by the mat, giving your neck a little rest. Then just go back to watching your breath, not trying to change it in any way whatsoever. Just making a mental note of the character of your breath and whether anything has changed since the start of class. And taking your awareness away from the breath, go back to having that little scan through the body for any tight spots or area of sensation that you noticed at the start of class, and see whether any of those have changed. Just making a mental note. And then when you're ready, and there's no rush at all, start to think about moving. Maybe rolling the head from one side to the other, or stretching down one side of the body, then the other side of the body. Maybe lifting the hips up into a bridge, or maybe you want to hug your knees into your chest. Move your body in whatever way it craves. And then when you're ready, roll over onto your side and come up to seated. Thank you for making that effort to come and practice with me this morning, or this lunchtime I should say. I hope you feel better for it.